everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Who Said What? I'm Nira.
And I'm Heba.
And today we're going to talk about, it was really interesting because our last episode with Maha, we grazed upon the subject of canceled culture. And we just happened to mention the Puff Daddy incident where he was caught on tape beating up his girlfriend. And since then, the situation has kind of really blown out of, not blown out of proportion but it's become something completely different where...
Yeah, because actually when we recorded that episode with Maha, that was basically before the summer. So it was way before all of the shit hit the fan.
And it was just basically him, it sounds very trivial, but him beating up on his girlfriend, but it's a horrible video actually.
Yeah.
Of him.
I remember I had asked her about it because for me it was so traumatizing because I used to be a fan of his and his music. So I remember when I saw that video, I was like stunned. Like, how could he be dragging this poor woman across the hallway, kicking her and throwing things at her?
And we thought it was very much of an isolated incident. And because we were talking about canceled culture, basically, like if you do one thing on tape, because now with Instagram and social media and everything like that, everybody finds out. And she was saying how it's very hard to come back from something like that.
Well, especially that kind of thing. It's not like he just did like a little boo-boo. Like that scene was horrible.
And he apologized for it. But then now, all of a sudden, it's this huge scandal that so many celebrities are implicated in, not just him, because, so what was it? He has these freak-out parties. Freak-offs. And he has his white parties that, number one on his guest list is who all the time?
Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio, which I used to be a massive fan of.
But I always thought he was a bit weird. He's a bit weird.
I think it was after I read the book Billion Dollar Whale.
The Billion Dollar Whale, yes.
Which I highly recommend as a book. It's gripping. After I read that book, I think that's when I realized, oh my God, because to me, Leonardo DiCaprio is super talented actor. And I feel like his characters are very like three-dimensional. He has a lot of depth. So I said, okay, this guy is, pretty interesting. But when I read that book, I was...
Why don't you tell them what the book was about? Because I think not a lot of people know about the Billion Dollar Whale.
Well, it talks about this one guy who's originally Joe Lo, and he's Malaysian, and then it's this whole scam.
He did this Malaysian sovereign fund, and then he was basically laundering the money he was getting for this fund, and he was laundering it through these huge financial institutions.
Yes,
they were turning a blind eye to the fact there were millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars that he was laundering. And a lot of celebrities were, he had these huge parties.
He was friends with all these big celebrities. Namely, he mentioned all the time Jamie Foxx and Leonardo DiCaprio.
He produced Wolf of
Wall Street. And basically, he painted like all that celebrity scene in a pretty bad light. Like, they basically turn a blind eye as long as there's money flowing, as long as there are parties going on. Everybody is in on it, and everybody turns a blind eye to whatever it is.
The P. Diddy thing is almost exactly the same. It's just there's no money laundering.
Well, let me finish that story so basically that book, Billion Dollar Whale, is a great book but it kind of shows you how Leonardo DiCaprio is not so clean cut, and he advocates certain things, and he's not what you see is not what you get, right?
He's not as clean cut as he looks, basically.
Anyways, I don't remember. Unfortunately, that's one of my things. I read a ton of books, but I don't really remember them in great detail. I just remember the impression I got that all of a sudden I don't like Leonardo DiCaprio so much. So anyways,
move to today.
Yeah.
P. Diddy has these parties, and it's become a huge scandal where it's a sort of like a Jeffrey Epstein kind of situation where he sexually abused Justin Bieber at a very young age, 14. So these are the allegations, but they seem pretty spot on because it's coming from a lot of other people.
But even if he didn't sexually abuse, I mean, there's a situation where there's a 14-year-old that is supposed to be somebody you're mentoring, and now you've put him in these precarious situations that are really, it's honestly, you know, the first week when this came out, I was having nightmares every night, to be honest. Like I had these like weird dreams. Like I felt it was so sad. Like when I saw these videos of Justin Bieber and how he's talking about, it's just.
And Justin Bieber, there was a point where he was this young, wholesome kid that was he is super talented. And then all of a sudden he started acting, in my mind, I thought, you know, everybody's always like conspiracy theories. In my mind, he started acting like an abused child. A child, like a kid who's been abused, because all of a sudden he's acting out. You know what I'm saying? He's being weird. He's recluse. He doesn't want to be in the limelight anymore. And it was just, and then so when that came out, it just made sense. And so P. Diddy was supposed to be mentoring this kid. And then you find out that years prior, he mentored Usher in, what was it called? Fluff Camp? Was it Fluff Camp?
I don't know.
He has this, P. Diddy has this camp where these kids, so it's something like, yeah. Okay, so I think it was something like, I'm not sure, but it's this camp that Usher went to as a teenager as well. So the abuse now kind of became the abuser as well. Usher, he's the Stockholm syndrome, where all of a sudden he's seeing it being done to somebody else, but not saying anything.
Yeah.
Versus Justin Bieber saw it could potentially happen to Billie Eilish. Is that her name? Billie Eilish?
I don't know. Yes.
And he kind of saved her. He saved her from that predicament, and he got her out of it because...
With P. Diddy?
I think so, but I'm not really sure with P. Diddy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We're like, Heba and I share a million videos between her
No, that's
and us and our older
but that's-
sister.
but that's-
and I'm like reading videos. I'm like, it's like an addiction. I'm like, look at YouTube and you scroll, because I looked at a couple. Now all the videos I get are update on P. Diddy. He's in jail now, but he's on suicide watch because they're...
Not anymore.
He's not on suicide watch anymore? Okay.
Not anymore. The other day there was like what he ate for his first meal. I was like, really?
No, but you see that I'm hearing other stories. I'm hearing he's not eating in jail because he's afraid somebody's gonna poison him. Because literally that woman I really like, Candace, what's her name? She's an African American woman that's so outspoken. I love her.
What did she say?
She said, if you hear that P. Diddy committed suicide, I'm telling you right now, he did not commit suicide. Somebody
because they want to cover up?
They're worried the same, because Jerry Epstein, did he really commit suicide, or did he have a shitload of dirt on a lot of people that if they got out, they'd be in like a lot of deep doo-doo. So P. Diddy's the same thing. So his parties, who's on the list of those parties? Off the top of our head, there's Kevin Hart, which, by the way, I didn't understand. He was a nobody who came out to be somebody.
He's so funny. He's
a
little funny man. I'm so surprised.
He shot to stardom overnight. You knew of him, but he was kind of on the thing, and all of a sudden he's this uber famous actor now, when you never heard of him before.
Because he's funny.
It's
not because he's going to the P. Diddy parties.
Eddie Murphy's funny too. Okay?
He's so funny too.
Eddie Murphy, the career took like a regular upward trajectory. This one went from you never heard of him to he's everywhere.
I think because he comes in bite-sized form. I think that was very unique about him, because he's funny, but he's like this little petite man.
And who else was on that list? So
everybody in Hollywood's on that list, by the way.
Yeah, but
almost,
a lot of people, like Denzel Washington says that he went to one of his parties and he left within an hour. Things started getting weird and he left.
Yeah,
with his wife.
No, but you know what?
And Jay-Z is also being implicated big time. And then all of a sudden, I heard yesterday that somebody said that Beyonce is like the queen bee that like recruits all these people that go to these parties.
But see, that's the thing. No, I'll tell you something. That's the thing. It becomes now all about sensationalism. Now about the stories that come out are the weirdest stories.
Okay, let's
that you think, honestly, if you read all of those stories, you think that we live in a fucked up.
We do live in a fucked up
really weird world. Because if those people are doing that kind of shit, I mean, it's just...
But if you have that much... The issue is, if you have that much money, you can get away with a lot of stuff.
Well, that's the thing, obviously.
And the other thing is with Jay-Z. Let's not forget the incident where he beat up his sister-in-law in that elevator where she was beating up on him. Don't you remember?
No.
Beyonce's sister had a huge fight with Jay-Z because something was... I can't remember. It was a few years ago. But he is not exactly...
I never heard
kosher.
About that story.
He's not exactly
And I pride myself
no, you then
on being on top of
it
the
was on
entertainment
all- it
gossip.
was the video was everywhere where they're in the elevator and I can't. She was smacking him. He was mashaf. It was a big scandal between the fact that her sister hates him, hates Jeezy.
Well,
He's
if you beat
sketchy
her
as
up,
well.
I can imagine.
He's sketchy as well. They're all sketchy, first of all. And then all of a sudden I have I love it. This friend of mine who's always into conspiracy theories. So it's a bit, you're not sure what to listen to. But it goes back to when Tupac was killed. That's how far back it goes.
Yeah, but we hear like that he...
Tupac and Biggie, that Tupac was killed for a certain reason. You don't, but in the end, you really won't know what's going on. But somebody was saying that the industry, you know, the African American, the rap industry was very much about being gangster and violence, and they wanted to switch that whole violence thing and make them more clean cut and proper and more basically effeminate. And all of a sudden, half of these guys are screwing other guys. You're going into
see, we're
homosexuality. You're going into homosexuality. So
no, and
you try to
pedophilia
create
obviously as well.
Pedophilia as well. Are you trying to create some sort of impotency
Impotence.
amongst this? I don't know.
See, that's what I'm trying to say.
Ashton Kutcher was on the list too.
I'm not buying that whole thing. Now it's like this whole theory that like the whole rap industry and P. Diddy's at the forefront of trying to emasculate all men. No, he just is. No, I think. Do you want to just know my theory?
What's your theory?
Okay, I think it's just basically. Honestly, I think it's the whole celebrity culture. Too much money. You're going into now. You're having, there is this weird thing where you're a celebrity now, you got a ton of money. Everybody wants to be in that. There are like a lot of women and men that want to be in that kind of society. So women and men are willing to do anything for that. And it becomes a situation where your morals and values are completely clouded by that. Okay. And there is... Along with that, there's this huge porn culture that is completely warping people's ideas of sexuality and what's normal and what's not. And therefore, you have these kind of situations where a celebrity like P. Diddy, who does freak-offs, where he makes people do weird sexual things and keep them basically alive and well with IV drip so that they can continue on these sexual, I don't know what they're doing. This to me is obviously all these people are kind of warped and have a very skewed benchmark. So I think what it is that just money, too much of this kind of society is just breeding some kind of weird.
But these freak-offs are, okay, I don't know if you guys have heard about these freak-offs, but that's
exactly what it is, what I just said. They're doing all these.
But you're talking about, what was it? Because if you start to go into his interviews, P. Diddy's interviews with people ask questions. He evades the questions, or he says something with subliminal meaning in it.
Like?
So they're like, so what are these parties about? I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. So what are these parties about? He's like, he's like, there's a lot of alcohol.
It's with Conan O'Brien, that one.
But there's also one with Jimmy Kimmel. Really? That one was Conan O'Brien, and there's so many snippets of these interviews with Jimmy Kimmel and with Conan O'Brien where basically it's a lot of alcohol and he cranks up the heat he literally says it, to loosen up the women.
Yes, I know.
That is sick. And basically it's they sit and have whatever.
They when they do
sexual stuff for like, and you're not talking about for an hour or two. This goes on for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And what did they find? They found 1,000 bottles of baby oil in his house, plus padlocks for everything, for all the things. It's not like it's consensual. They're locked up. If they're drugged and locked up, they're drugged and locked up.
But what's weird is that it hasn't come out until now. And then
it hasn't come out till now because he was never caught doing something as horrific as what he did to his girlfriend.
I think that's what it was. Was when I know that's when he started, like, it started spiraling downhill for him. That basically he got caught on camera and they caught that camera and that camera was leaked, and she basically called him out on all that.
And what's that other
abuse.
thing that I heard? Wait, I heard that other thing. Didn't a couple of the girlfriends die mysteriously of pneumonia?
Oh yeah, there's this whole thing now about the pneumonia thing, about basically his ex-wife died of pneumonia mysteriously, and then her boyfriend before that died of pneumonia mysteriously, and her friend who had was writing something about Diddy, or was gonna, they said it was his ex-wife, but then they said, I read somewhere else where it was his ex-wife's friend who had all this dirt on him, and then she died mysteriously of pneumonia as well. But apparently the coroner said that she had died of some foul play, his ex, Kim Porter. But then after that, that guy mysteriously died, and then they had to redo an autopsy, and then they said, no, it was pneumonia.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's weird things
And
going
then
on.
Brittany Murphy, like if you keep digging into it, all of a sudden, because you know how Brittany Murphy died suddenly, that actress?
She's not linked to
No,
P. Diddy?
no, she's not. But that's the thing. If you keep looking, because they say she died of mold. Really, how many people now die of mold? That was the thing. And then what was okay? So Brittany Murphy, and there's that other thing. Oh God, Heba, help me.
But okay, so do you think he's been doing this the whole time? And why do you think
He's been getting away with it.
getting away with it so long?
He's just been getting away with it for this whole time. Because a lot of people that, okay, they want to have fun. So if you're going to pay for them to have fun, then why are they going to say anything? And who was it? Somebody was like talking about it on an interview, and then the people were like, don't talk about it, like be quiet, like, Kevin Hart, right?
I think it was Kevin.
Yeah. He's like,
that was one of my little tidbits of information that I gave you.
Yeah, then he's like avoiding the question, or he's like,
With Kelly Clarkson.
I didn't see that one.
That's the one I'm telling you about.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart with Kelly Clarkson. I saw that, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on here?
But there was
No, but I'm very like, this topic is really disturbing for me, because also there was Jeffrey Epstein before that, there was Harvey Weinstein, this whole Me Too movement. And I think it's very important. I think it's very good, because not just because a woman is there doesn't mean that it's okay for her to be coerced into doing these weird things. And I think it's very important that these people, as celebrities, like they market all these products and they sell things easily. This kind of thing will sell. I mean, they need to kind of have a certain aura, or they need to portray a certain set of like values in some way. I mean, it cannot be like just like these crazy, like, how could he?
And Eminem sang a lot of songs about it. First of all, it's not just about women. So Me Too movement is about women. This is women, boys and kids, men and women, young, old, it doesn't matter. And then there's Eminem, who obviously they can't, you find out that they can't stand each other. And he's been singing about it for God knows how long. And then 50 Cent there's a documentary that he did.
Oh, I love the name.
Did
he do it? That's the documentary name for Netflix. I can't wait for that to come out. But okay, what do you think of? Do you think this will have some sort of an impact on other people going forward, like in terms of other like celebrities maybe not doing this kind of thing,
or who are being implicated in this kind of like?
No, I mean, like, what do you think it's going to have like implications for the future of this kind of industry?
Well, it's kind of like the Me Too movement. All of a sudden, if you go to a dentist or a doctor and it's a male, there has to be a nurse there, just in case.
So now when you go to a party, a celebrity party, you got to have your
chaperone
with you.
So I mean, I think people are just going to be more aware. I can't imagine that people were not aware of it from the beginning. It just seems it's so huge. It's so huge that how can you not have known a little bit?
Yeah, I think most of these people knew, but just turned a blind eye to it.
Which is really sad, because it's
because you got to lead by example.
You're complicit in the whole thing. I mean, if you turn a blind eye to it, then how are you any better than the person who's actually doing it?
I agree.
So it makes me so sad for what happened to the younger people that trusted them and were in their, care, right?
Yeah.
So it just seems like
it kind of makes you feel like you can in a way, especially I think nowadays, it makes you feel like you lose kind of hope about humanity and like, where are we going with all of this shit? But anyways, I don't want to be too negative about this. And I think that,
how can we be but negative about this? If they're held accountable for what they've said, if they're held I hope they're held accountable for what they've done. But you never know, and I hope their money doesn't allow them to get out of it, because they shouldn't get out of it. They should be
no. But that's what. No, I can tell that obviously the money thing is not gonna. They're not gonna get away with it because of the money anymore.
So, I don't know. Like, we'll have to see what happens.
Yes, we will see what happens, and
wealth becomes implicated. I'm sure it's not going to end.
I'm curious to see how it's going to transpire, this whole thing.
Who's getting a divorce now because of it? Is everybody getting a divorce?
I had heard that Kevin Hart his wife wanted to get a divorce from him.
What about Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis? Was there something?
Yeah, there was something there, but then they were seen together again having lunch. So
okay,
they reconciled. All good on that front.
And how's J-Lo in this whole thing going?
I don't know, but
Ben Affleck.
No, that's stupid. That story. I saw something.
Videos?
Ben Affleck. Somebody came to his house giving videos. That's so stupid. No, but I'll say that P. Diddy definitely put J-Lo on the map with that dress that she wore, that green dress.
Didn't she put herself on the map with that dress? They just happened to be together at the time.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So maybe I don't think he didn't put her on the map, but I was saying that dress put her on the map, and she was actually dating P. Diddy at the time. Is there a backstory there? No. Anyway,
but what did he say about her? Didn't he say that she's the one that was?
I don't know.
Got away.
Who cares?
Okay, who cares? He's a pervert and a deviant, and should be locked away forever. Sorry.
Yes, horrible.
I think.
Anyways, so
anybody that does that to kids or to anybody
is horrible.
Should not be able to see the light of day. I'm sorry.
Yes, I hope he goes away for a very, 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 very long time.
Everything. It's a horrible, horrible thing.
So that was it, and
it's
also
a continuation to what we talked about.
Yeah, that was a thing that we spoke about with Maha, and we said, like, how can people come back, because she deals with crisis management and PR and all that, and definitely you can, but from something like that, she was saying there's no way, there's no coming back from something like that, which I'm glad.
Yeah, me too.
So on that note,
I hope he's canceled permanently.
Yeah,
and we never hear from him again.
Anyways. Too bad. I like his music.
Become somebody's bitch, which reminds me, by the way, I've deleted all the songs off my my phone. All the songs that I had of his.
Wow, that's pretty extreme.
Oh no. Deleted. Who else did I delete? I deleted 2 other people: Alicia Keys and Jay-Z. Then none of their music is on my phone anymore.
Oh wow. Okay. Well.
Oh, I thought we were about to talk. Will Smith too was implicated. Jaden and Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. Okay, we can talk about this forever.
Oh my God, we're gonna go on, and I can turn on my phone right now and just like go through all the stuff that we've been like sending each other.
Or Jaden was also and his sister, both of them.
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. It becomes like really sensationalist, like media.
You can keep looking into it.
No, but also like that's the thing. The problem is with social media now, it's like there's also half truths.
Yeah,
like there's like so many things out there. It's like it becomes a little absurd. So you don't know where to draw the line. Anyways,
I'm sure you guys have comments on this subject, and
of course
we would love to hear about your comments about this subject, because it affects all of us in some way or another, and it says that certain behaviors are okay when they should never be okay,
and also sets a very bad example. I'm wondering about his kids, how they're gonna be. Okay,
as well.
So on that note, that was a very interesting topic, and a topic that we're super interested in. So if you guys have any questions, comments, please send them over on to our DM of Who Said What podcast with Heba and Nira
podcast on Instagram, and we're available on all the platforms.
Yes, so don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, and we're available on all the platforms. So Apple, Spotify, Deezer.
I don't know the rest.
Yeah,
and we usually add a link to the episode on our Instagram account when we drop the episode. So you can go to it through there.
Okay. That's it.
That's all.
Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.